Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to DGen Ed and the After Hours update for Tuesday, September 30th. The theme is the government shutdown that will be occurring tonight at midnight Eastern, I believe. And and I think that there might be some dip buying opportunities associated with that, whether that's leading up to it, tomorrow, days after. We're entering Q4, so the fourth quarter of 2025, and Bitcoin, crypto, I suspect will be going a lot higher, as that is typical for the year following the halving. And with that, I think things are going to generally be going higher. And so did want to go over that a little bit. And as far as the chat goes, you guys are free to chat amongst yourselves. And, I'll be happy to say hi to you. So make sure you let me know you're here in the chat. But I probably won't be checking to take requests until the last 10 minutes of the stream. I'm going to try to focus the first 20 minutes on some of the charts that I'm interested in, just so those who are not joining live, can get a lot of value out of this stream. And let's see. Let's dive into it. And so the thumbnail for today is kind of inspired by this post from Orlando. So this is Orlando on X. Great person to follow as far as chart setups and unusual whales goes. I enjoy his content a lot. And so in his post here, he says that, the last time the government shut down for the Christmas of 2018 was the longest in history. And so that was 35 days of the government being shut down. I think pretty much every year we get, a concern of a shutdown, but it doesn't actually happen. And so he goes on in this post that markets gapped down the day after it started. And so the next trading day, since the shutdown started on Saturday, and bottomed that same day. So it was a very nice dip buying opportunity. If we look at the chart here, this was again December 2018, saw some very nice lows there. This is the S&P 500, which, let's see, that's the S&P 500 Trust. And that was, hitting a low of around 212. You can't see it. The cursor is right behind me. But the low was 212, and then it rallied up to just shy of 268. So a pretty nice bounce, a nice dip buying opportunity here that led to, a 1, 2, 3, 4-month rally. So maybe that's what we're looking forward to for the rest of 2024. And I'm just going to shrink that back and then post, not post, but I did post a comment to his post there, just saying that, I smell opportunity in that scene from The Big Short where this guy says opportunity, and Ryan Gosling's character did not like his response. Anyways, let's go on to the charts. The first one I wanted to go over is NEO. Very briefly, just a couple things I wanted to go over on this. One, I'm sure that you guys are not going to like it, but just, exercising some caution. There are some things that do look bullish about it. Some of the options data does suggest that it could be going higher, but, it's basically the same thing that we've been seeing higher highs put in with the stock price, whereas we have lower highs in the RSI. So that is going to be bearish divergence. When is that actually going to play out? When we see a more notable retracement? I have no idea. Maybe it doesn't happen until after 10. Could be wrong. I don't necessarily think it's going down to 550, but I do think it could be pulling back some. But with that being said, the high for today, September 30th, the end of the month, and actually maybe we want to look at this in the monthly time frame, and let's maybe look at all of the charts in the monthly time frame to see where we closed at, what those monthly candles look like. But for the day, we got a high of $7.78. So that's kind of a new high over here, higher highs as I had mentioned, but we closed at 762. So maybe there's a little bit of, getting exhausted here, but maybe not. And then so if we do look over at the monthly time frame, This just looks really good, increasing volume behind the moves up here. So taking a step back, bigger picture, this does look really good, but maybe there could be a pullback in the next couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I'm not really sure. And that is, let's see, I'm just going to fast forward this to right now. One of the reasons for that, and this is something I did post on X, I noticed this. I checked when I was at work that the NEO max pain has increased for this Friday from 650 to 7. Current price, like I said, above 750, so above that next strike. So that is looking good. However, for the following week, next week on October 10th, the max pain is still 650, so that is something to be aware of. And so I will pull up that data in a second. I did just want to point out the net call and put premium for the day, September 30th. Net call premium went up by over $1 million, 1.06 million. So that is a good look. That's what we want to be seeing. Net put premium came down by over $500,000. So that is good. We want to see that net put premium going down, suggesting that this is bullish. So that does line up. And if we do look at the data just above my head here, it does suggest that this is net bullish. That we see about 50% on the bullish side, some neutral, and then the minority being on the bearish side. And that does line up with net call premium going up, net put premium going down. So I think this looks great. And then I just realized the button was up here to look at the Greek. So just like a shortcut to look at the max pain for NEO. What we can see here, maybe I can zoom in on it just a little bit, so you guys can see it a little bit better. The max pain for this Friday, as I mentioned, has indeed gone up by 50 cents from 650 to 7, as the price in the after hours is around 761. So I think it's good that max pain is moving up, although with price above max pain, that max pain could serve as a magnet. So maybe we see a pullback to 7, and then the following week, maybe we could see a pullback to 650. And if we do start to trade below max pain, that could not only be like a magnet, but be kind of like a weight to push the price down. But we're not seeing that. I think things are generally looking good as far as the options data goes. But I just wanted to share that with you guys in case you are interested. But then let's go on to the next ticker that I have on the list, which is MARA. Yesterday, as I talked about during the stream, on the 29th, MARA went up by 15.69%. We're putting in, a doji today. Let's see, this might be an exact doji, opening and closing at the exact same price. Let's see, opened at 18.27, closed at 18.26, so 1 penny off from being an exact doji there. But yeah, what we do see here, looking at the chart, big volume or big spread in the candle on Monday, going up 15.69%. Big volume here, big spread in the volume, so a lot of volume backing up that move. And then here, when we see this doji, volume has decreased, so that does make sense. This could be, bullish consolidation before the next leg higher. And then if I throw up the drawings just out of curiosity, okay, we did pull back to nearly the 786 here, and now we're trading above. Let's see, the 236 having closed at 1826, but in the after hours coming down about 7 cents to 1819, but that is going to be changing. But I'm just going to remove the drawing so we don't get, overwhelmed by stuff. Oh, and actually I should throw up the monthly chart because maybe that will look good for this. And yeah, the monthly, this is still the blue line. That is the 50-day simple moving average. So it is fixed on the days rather than switching over to 50-month moving average. And what we can see is that we have been trading below that 50-day SMA. We closed the month above it. A lot of volume this past month. I think that is suggesting that MARA could be going notably higher again into the fourth quarter of the year. And then, so let's see, looking over at the data here, this is data from September 30th, and we can see that net put premium in red went up by about $1.14 million, so that's kind of bearish. And then net call premium came down by about $151,000. Generally, the bear bull slider just above my head is suggesting that this is more bearish. So good to be a little concerned about that, I guess. But I believe I wanted to look at some data from the 29th. I was looking at this this morning, trying to like compile my thoughts. I was too tired last night to do it. But what we saw yesterday, again on the 29th, is net call premium increase of about $3.5 million and a net put premium decrease of just under 2 million, so about 1.84 million decrease in net put premium. You see the red line down there as the stock price in yellow rose yesterday. It rose quite notably. And so we did see bear bull slider more on the bullish side. And so what I did, maybe I'm going to go down a rabbit hole with this and take too much time. I got about 10 minutes before I'm going to open up to the chat, and Bruce is saying Neo does look good. Yeah, I think the options data really supports that. But the 650 strike for next week, as far as the max pain goes, that has me a little bit concerned. But yeah, I mean, it could be going up a lot higher. And I tend to be a little bit cautious when I get in the green. If I see some signs that make me think, then I tend to pull the plug a little bit. And actually, I do still have the Neo call, and so I can pull that up later if that's of interest. But speaking of Mara that I have up here, we can see this big spike in net call premium, and so that occurred where the cursor is at, right around 254, 255 in the afternoon. And so we saw net call premium at around 600,000 within a few minutes. Went up to $3 million. So that is actually some of the data that I looked at. I wanted to try and understand, is this bullish? Is this bearish? What are the contracts, expiration dates, the strikes, all of that? And so what I did, I believe I have it pulled up here. This is the flow. And this looks like that was probably, let's see, we can see over here, 14:55, so that's going to be 2:55 in the afternoon. And this is possibly related multi-leg trades with Mara. And so that is what this big spike corresponds with. It looks like net buying of calls, but if it's a multi-leg trade, there might be some selling as well. And so what we can see is this, like a lot of these, I believe, are actually, maybe all of them. Yeah, all of them expire this Friday. So I think it's really risky because I made the mistake doing that with Rocket Lab. I'm going to lose about $250 on that. But with this contract, just trying to use this as data to inform trades, whether it's shares or other contracts. We can see these different strikes. So it's the 1850, the 19, the 17, and the 1950 calls that expire this Friday. And we can see, these big spikes, these candles, millions of dollars traded on them. This is the 17, the 1850, 19, and then 1950 here. So the big spikes. And so rather than trying to figure it out looking at the data here, I believe I have it pulled up here, those specific contracts all expiring on October 3rd here. And so we can see the Mara $17 call. What we saw from yesterday, and actually what we've seen the past few days, was increases in open interest. However, yesterday on the 29th, we had an open interest of just shy of $47,000 in a volume of about 38,000. But then that led to a decrease by about 9,000 contracts. So now open interest is only about 37.5 thousand contracts. So that's actually kind of bearish that they are selling the $17 calls. They are in the money, so it does kind of make sense to be taking profit if prices are around 18.21. But then if we look at the other contracts, maybe some of them are bullish. And I should note the time here, this... let's see, what was the time for those contracts? 255. So that's what I want to be looking at here. So 255, that's actually the smaller candle here. Actually, what am I seeing? 255. This is not lining up exactly. So it was probably a smaller order over here. So very interesting. But anyways, we saw net decrease in call premium, net decrease in call premium, but a net decrease in the open interest for this contract. But if we look at the other contracts, so this one, the 1850 strike, what am I doing? You always got to check the dates. So this is going to be today, the 30th. So I need to show 2 days, and then we can see these massive spikes. There we go. That's the right way to look at this. And so we can see these massive spikes. This one, the second candle right there, that is between 250 and 3. They are the 10-minute candles, and we can see that candle volume was 11,565 contracts, candle premium of over 2 million. And then this earlier candle was 1.6 million. So lots of money there, but it does look like that led to a decrease in open interest. And I should note too, over 5 million in premium traded on this contract yesterday. And then if we look at the 1850 though, we can see the spikes that line up at the exact same time there. But what can we see here? We actually see that open interest increased from yesterday. So yesterday, the day started with about 8,000 contracts open. This is again the $18.50 strike. And that increased by about 24.6 thousand, getting to an open interest of 32.6 thousand. Yeah. And so this looks really bullish that it's potentially like, they were swapping the $17 strike call for the 1850, pushing that strike higher. So maybe, that's good. If these are related, it does seem like they are because the order of execution was at the exact same time. If we look at the 1950 strike, I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker here. We can also see an increase in open interest by about just shy of 23,000 contracts, going from 9.4 thousand to 32.3 thousand. So again, this is looking really good, but this contract, I should note, had about 1 million premium traded on it yesterday, whereas the $19 strike had about 1.6 million traded on it, and the wait a second, sorry, I'm getting myself a little confused because there are so many of these contracts here and I'm trying to go quickly. But generally what we can see, so the 17 strike call, we saw a decrease, 5 million in premium on this contract yesterday. The 1850, we saw over 2 million in premium traded on it and an increase in open interest. So that's good. 1850 pushing that strike higher. Then the 19 strike call saw a decrease in open interest, and so that was around $1.6 million. Premium traded yesterday, and a portion of that led to a decrease in open interest. And then the 1950 saw an increase in open interest, about 1 million traded in premium yesterday. So generally, I just think this is pretty interesting, and that, we'll have to see what happens with Mara into the rest of the week. And then so from here, just because I'm talking about Mara, let's just look at Bitcoin really quick. I've got a bunch of crap up here. I guess it's not really that useful because that's kind of like bigger picture time frames. Maybe we're seeing a Dragonfly Doji and this will be rolling over, maybe to find that 50 SMA around 113,650 as support, but generally, this has gone up. Volume has come down a little bit as that has consolidated. So, we'll have to see. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about IBIT, which is the iShares or BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. This one does look like it is maybe getting rejected by that 50 SMA around, let's see, $65.14, closing at 65, just shy of that level. But maybe this does continue higher. There is some data that I did want to go over on this. So let's see, this is for September 29th. We saw this pretty big drop in net call premium, and yesterday that net call premium did come down by about 11.6 million. Although net put premium also came down by about 5 million. Generally, though, that is, as we can see, more net bearish here. But if we look at the data for today, the 30th, we can actually see that the net call premium for IBIT increased by nearly $20 million. So looking over here, that is generally more bullish than bearish. And if I expand this to show the past 2 days, we can kind of put that into a little bit more perspective that, the downside that we saw yesterday in net call premium just shy shy of $12 million. We saw an increase of just shy of $20 million. So generally, that does look like this is going in the right direction if we are bullish. But I did have some contracts, some IBIT contracts that I could go over, but I don't want to get lost in the weeds, so I'm not going to pull those up. And so I will continue on to the next ticker on the list, which is Ethereum. I've got my drawings over here. I'm going to show them just because I'm really proud of them. I think that we're kind of repeating what we saw earlier in the year. And actually, there was a tweet from Crypto Rover that was basically saying, we're seeing the exact same thing that we saw over here. So, really lines up with like a renewal of the thesis. So I really like Ethereum a lot, but I'm not going to dive too deep into Ethereum. What I really wanted to talk about is SBIT. This is one that I've been scooping up today. I've been actually pretty bullish on this. I've had some shares for a little while. I've been holding on the downside here. I did accumulate a little bit more aggressively than I typically do, but I'm a small time player. But anyways, SBIT, which is SharpLink Gaming, an Ethereum treasury company, they did close at, it looks like 1701. So going up about, actually going down by 1.45% relative to yesterday's close, but the trend for the day was going up a little bit. And I did have a post on this on X, so it's nice to, follow me on there. And so I just said, guys, I think I'm bullish on SBET with $2 million traded on the $20 Halloween calls yesterday, so on the 29th, and the majority going long, possibly having traded the $15.50 strike for the 20. So I'm saying, this is getting hot. I think it could be going up. And so SBET, or SharpLink Gaming, unlike Bitmine Immersion, which is Tom Lee's Ethereum treasury company, Bitmine has been adding Ethereum, whereas SharpLink has not. We can see over here, if I do refresh this, that Bitmine has been all over the recent strategic ETH reserves, but the activity here, but SharpLink is not on there. So what's going on? And so once SharpLink does, announce that they are, adding, maybe it goes up a lot. And so I am wondering if we're going to have us a happy Halloween with SBET going up to 20 and beyond. And so then I just kind of posted the data here from Unusual Whales on my phone, so it's a little bit clunky. But what we could see from September 30th was an increase in open interest of about 16,000 contracts. And so from today, sorry, I'm going to take a step back. I'm looking at this in the reverse order I would think about this. So September 29th, we saw a volume of 19,936 contracts traded. And this is, by the way, the $20 call that expires on Halloween. And so we saw nearly 20,000 contracts traded yesterday, which led to an increase in open interest of 16,000. So that looks really good there. And I could dive into those, but I kind of want to leave it open to you guys because I am kind of running over a little bit. But if I do pull up, let's see, the contracts over here, we have, the $15.50 strike contract. So this would be, what's the date? This is the 30th, but I kind of want to bring this back 2 days. So we can see this big green candle here. That looks, green. It looks good. Candle premium, $1.275 million. But actually, if we look at the change in open interest down here, so from the 29th, volume of 5,000, open interest of 5,000 with a volume of over that open interest. But then that led to a decrease of 4.558 thousand contracts. So open interest going from 5,000 to sub 500. So that's not a good look, but the $20 call, so it should be like the exact same time, around 210 to 220, right around that same time, we saw what looks like an increase in open interest. So yesterday, open interest was about 470. saw a volume of just about 20,000, as I had mentioned. That led to an increase in 16,000 contracts. So this is looking good for the end of the month for SBET. If I do pull up the chart over here, currently trading around 17, it could be going up. If it's going up to 20, let's see, about, that would be around 20% move to the upside. But because I like to have more than a month between, now and expiration, I actually opened a different position with SBET, which, let's see, I think if I refresh this, it will pop up. I think I added it, but maybe not. Yeah, so ones that I was looking at, I placed limit buys. One was the SBET $30 call that expires in January. And so I placed a limit order for 150. And if we look at the data down here, the low for the day was 149. So I got to fill 1 cent above the low. The high was 169, still holding it. And maybe I'll sell for 20% profit or just kind of hold to see what happens over the month of October, but don't want to be holding it much longer than October. And then another one that I did consider buying, I did place a limit order, was the $40 strike call that also expires in January. And the low for the day was 99 cents. I considered placing a limit buy at $1, but I was like, no, it's probably going to go lower than I expect. I'll place a limit buy for 90 cents. So that, of course, was not filled, but that's fine. I did get a fill on the $30 strike call. So that is fine. And the reason why I picked those levels is if we look over here, the highs, this is around 25. I could see, price getting up to around 30. We actually see the high on August 11th was 28.26. So getting up to 30 in a few months doesn't seem that unreasonable. And then if we look at the highs over here, it's around 39, or if we look at the exact high, $40.46. So getting up to $40 also doesn't seem that unreasonable. And so, yeah, just having fun with those. There are some other tickers like BKKT or BACT, which is, Mike Alfred is now on the board. This just, more rip your face off rallies to the upside. So yesterday up 42.34%, today up 31.7%. I am not in it, but it's really nice to just see, Mike Alfred just, killing it. But we can also see that volume is decreasing as this is going higher, those widespread candles. So this might be getting exhausted. So maybe a buy at around 25, finding that as support could be possible. But that was the close from yesterday. So maybe that would have just been a good level. And then let's see, Celsius pullback here. I'm just waiting for that alert to go off. And Peloton, I also placed a limit buy order for a contract on this one today, but it did not get filled. I'm probably just going to sit on the sidelines unless maybe it pulls back some, but it does look like it's breaking out a little bit there. But anyways, that's enough rambling for me. I'm going to check on the chat to see what you guys have to say. Hopefully, what I was explaining kind of makes sense. I know I got caught up in mixing up a few contracts there. But yeah, and as I do look over the chats, I might pull this up. Just make sure that you like the stream, subscribe if you like this kind of content, turn on the alerts if you like, because I do posts occasionally that, might be nice to get some alerts on what I'm posting. And so let's just pull up the chat. And I might actually make it bigger screen for me to read a little more leisurely. And so I'm just going to kind of go through that. So Bruce was saying that Neo does look good. So I did respond to that. I'll just click on that so you can see his, hopefully you can see it. Yep. So Neo looks good. And then Joe Bro is saying, how is that play on NVTS? So let's pull up the NVTS chart. And so that is, it looks like it went up a little bit relative to yesterday's close. So 0.42%, would have had, it looks like it actually like retested effectively that 50 SMA there. What am I thinking about regarding this? I mean, that big wick to the upside here, so the high from yesterday, the 29th, was at 754. And so I view that as being kind of like, we need to be seeing closes above that. And until that happens, it's kind of like that's a cap. And, but yeah, I mean, it's still holding above the 50 SMA, which is currently at 676. And yeah, maybe I didn't look at all of the monthly charts, so maybe we could look at this on the monthly to see how this looks. And yeah, actually taking a step back, looking at this on the monthly time frame, this looks good. We see, big candle here. We see volume continue to increase. So they're showing a little bit of divergence there. Big wicks to the upside, smaller spread in that candle. And smaller spread but larger volume. So that doesn't necessarily suggest that there is, consistency between the volume and the price action. But then as this has been consolidating the past few months, volume has come down notably. So this actually looks like a bull flag on the monthly. So this looks really good. And if, let's see, I've got some crap drawn there. But if I were to just do a Fibonacci extension on the monthly, so this would take, months to play out. But going up to like the highs over here and then back down, we can kind of get an idea of where that could be suggesting price would be going, maybe around 13. So maybe by the end of the year, maybe by January, something like that. This could, very well be heading up to around 13. But that's taking a step back looking at this longer time frame. So do consider that. And then I'm just going to fast forward here. So, yeah, so I mean, what I would like to see is just, there was this gap up here. Want to see it not fill that gap and just hold up here above that moving average. Eventually that gap would probably be filled, but, it could go up to 13 before then and then pull back, in the new year maybe to fill that gap. Or it could just leave it behind. Gaps do get left behind. Tesla has a lot of notable gaps. And so Bruce is saying that he's up. I assume that's referring to, let's see if I did that correctly. I assume that's referring to NVTS because Bruce and Joe were exchanging about that. Bruce is saying, my BBAI is doing good. Have it at 493, but don't know how much longer it wants to hold it. And so let's look at BBAI. This is one that Colin Gladman did go over in his weekly video. I've apparently done some doodles on this. And this one's kind of, played out, but maybe it's a little bit offset. But anyways, I'm just going to delete those so the chart's a little bit cleaner. And, from this big move up here, it did retrace to the 618, so that's pretty cool. And then bounced from there, going up about 75%, but then now pulling back a 35% move total to the upside. And that is still above that 50 SMA, which is at 613. So that's looking good, having closed on the day at 652. And yeah, so I mean, this could just be maybe another, let's see, I'm going to move this one back. Let's see, that's at 300. Let's move it to 290, see where that puts us. Okay, and maybe I want to go back a few more days. So I'll do 287, actually 286. And so that's, approximately, I want to do 285. I should have just done 5. So that is with the bottom over there. And then so I'm just going to do another Fibonacci retracement, whether that pulls back to the 618 or maybe the 50%. And one of the things I like to think about is, I have this mapped out. Okay, it had this big move up here, and then it retraced to the 618. Now there's another big move. I'm going to say, I think it's going to go to the 618. However, the market likes to fool us, and it could, just pull back to the 50%. And that's approximately where we're at. Looks like the 50-day moving average is around the 618. So maybe it could come a little bit lower, but I think this is going well. And since I did mention that Colin has gone over this, let's see. I did post this. I'd encourage checking it out. It's a 47-minute long video. You could skip to where he covers BBAI, but basically he's bullish for this week, and BBAI is one of the stocks that he goes over. So I'd encourage you to check out Colin's analysis because he definitely has a lot more experience and a lot more to show for the success that he's had. He's a much bigger trader than he is. He's Anon is saying, shut it down, dump the market. Yeah, I think that if that happens, if we see pullbacks, I think that months from now we'll be looking back just like, let's see, maybe I want to pull up the SPX. And so, we'll be looking at this like, in April when everybody was panicking regarding the Liberation Day and tariffs. Everybody's freaking out then. We look back. That was a great time to be buying. So if you bought right around the lows, you'd be up 35% on the S&P 500. So, I think that if we see any dips, they're going to be opportunities. So, but also, who knows how low they're going to go. So good to kind of pace oneself, not be too aggressive in case, things do come back up. And let's see. Wrist Nightmare Diamond is saying that he's buying. So, for me today, my buys, I think were more or less limited to SBET. But it's like, this is like, it's been so boring. It's just been fading down. But if we're entering into Q4, which is going to be bullish for crypto, if the rally following the government shutdown is going to be epic. If SharpLink has not been buying ETH and then they announced they just bought a boatload, I think that we could be seeing some rip your face off rallies. And so I'm kind of betting on SBET, whether that's with the contract or with shares. And so I'm excited about that. And also, I'm an ETH bull, crypto bull. So, yep. And let's see, Bruce is saying that he might get onto Peloton. So, I'll just pull up that chart. Maybe I'll look over some of the data. I kind of have this arbitrary yellow line there at 877, closed above that. Maybe we hang out around there, but at the same time, word of caution, look at backed. It's like, oh, we're consolidating here. Maybe, it pulls back some to this retracement, and then you just get totally left behind. I think this is looking pretty good, but let's see some of the contracts. I think I got Peloton up here, so I can share some insights into what's going on with the data here, and I might actually just pull this up, so making sure that the comment is not blocking anything there. But what we can see for Peloton, it actually doesn't look so good for today as far as the contracts go. We do see, though, that net put premium was more or less flat. That went, actually, I need to make sure this is the right date. This is the 29th, so I am going to refresh this page so we can see the 30th. Glad I did that. Always good to check the date. Sometimes I might be wrong because I like dive into stuff either before the market opens or the night before, and then I don't look at stuff until after work, and I need to refresh the pages. So for the 30th, we saw net call premium at about 100,000, nothing too crazy. Net put premium down by about 85,000, so nothing too crazy there again. If we do rewind one day to September 29th, that is where we saw the net call premium come down, but that was down by 720,000, so nothing really too crazy. And then if we go back to last Friday, I think that's where things get a little bit more interesting. We saw a net call premium increase of about $927,000, so nearly $1 million. And we could look at the specific contract here, which corresponds with, let's see, $12.26. Sorry, not $12.26. I keep saying dollars. 12.26 in the afternoon. We saw increase of net call premium from about negative 47,000 to above 1 million right there. And so actually, if we do look at the flow, I might have this pulled up. This is actually showing multi-leg trades from September 25th. So if I go back one more day, we can see September 25th, this big spike again. I believe this is going to be about $1 million. So going from net call premium of negative 32,000 up to over 1.64 million. So it's even more of a change than what we saw on the 26th. And so for this spike, that was around 11:08 in the morning. And then so looking at the flow over here, this is 11:09. So, that does match up with it again on the 25th, multi-leg trades. And so what we can see for these, this is the $8 strike call for October 17th. We can also see This is the $9 strike call for November 21st, and then the other contract is the $12 call, again, for November 21st. And so I believe I have these pulled up in the contracts, and so that is Peloton. Yeah, so what did I say? Let's see. 12 and 9 are for November, 8 is for October. So coming over here, we can see the $8 strike call for October. So not this Friday, not next Friday, but the Friday after that. So less than 3 weeks from now. And what we saw on the 25th was we saw an open interest of 22. Oh, I am actually going to remove that chat. I'm glad I caught myself there. And so let's see. Get that out of the way. So talking about this, what we can see is on the 25th, we had an open interest of 22.485 thousand contracts open, volume of 9.2 thousand. That led to a decrease of about 6,000, going from 22 to 16,000. So that's not such a good look, although this is the $8 call for October. And so if that's a part of a multi-leg trade and the other ones are calls with higher strikes, like $9 and did I say $12? Was that the other one? Let's see, that's from over here, $9 and $12. So yeah, I mean, if they're rolling the $8 call from October to the $9 and the $12 calls in November, that's saying they're more bullish, longer time frame. Or maybe they're just doing it for cost, the $8 shorter dated call is going to be a little bit more expensive than a higher strike call, so they push the date out further. And so maybe it's not necessarily bullish, but if we look at the $9 strike call that expires in November, on the 25th, we saw open interest at sub 4,000 with a volume of over 11,000, leading to a nearly 10,000 contract increase. So we were at 3.8 thousand open interest. Now we're at about 15,000. So that is bullish. And I should note, Peloton is right around at $9, so maybe that's not so crazy. But if we do look at the $12 strike call, we can see that, let's see, scrolling down here, on the 25th, had an open interest of 5,000, saw an increase in 5,000, and now we're sitting at an open interest of 12,900. So this is looking bullish in my opinion. However, one thing to note is the total premium traded on the 25th for this contract, the $12 strike call, was about $250,000. The $9 strike call, that was over $1 million. And then the $8 strike call was, let's see, over here, less than $1 million. So I think generally this looks good for Peloton. And the one that Bronx was talking about that initially put this on my radar, so the Bronx Viking on X, this is the $10 strike call that expires in January. And if we look at this, open interest, from, let's see, about a week ago, or, on the 25th, 26th, it was around 19,000, and now it's around just over 22,000. So generally that is looking good. But yeah, I'm going to try to catch up on the chats, but I am doing, 45-minute stream. I talk too much. Want to make sure that this is accessible to those who are interested. And then, so let's see, I'm just going to try to catch up on the chat. And let's see, how can I do this so we can all see it and I can see what you guys are seeing. So Joe Bro is saying, if you're not shook by how much you have in BBAI, then stick to your gut. But remember that BBAI was a good stock to have for future usage and investments. Also, I think, AI is still a big disruptor that I think is a huge factor in jobs reports, unemployment. Is that going to be taking the job of laborers? No, it's probably going to be taking more of like white collar jobs, higher up positions, because it can do a lot of that kind of like management, research, whatever type of stuff. So I think that AI is, still a very hot topic, and I think it will continue to be. And then Daniel is saying, how does the lawn look? I did cut the grass. I didn't take a photo. I was considering taking a photo of it. My yard's not really that impressive or anything. And I have a garden that I planted some tomatoes and some peppers, but I working on the house. I haven't been able to spend time in the garden. The garden looks like a disaster. But yeah, I cut the grass and I had the compost picked up, so that looks good. And yeah, I enjoyed a beverage, cooked a brat on the grill yesterday, and just kind of wanted to, relax. And actually, funny thing, Paloma, it's like a grapefruit kind of drink. I got like these cans, they're like kind of like, girly beverages or whatever. But they're like Fresca, Paloma, because they're on like the sale rack at my local little grocery store. And, I got them and it's just like after working in the sun, they're really refreshing, really nice way to take a break. So yeah, and had a nice day working in the yard and getting that stuff done. So yeah, thanks for asking. And then Anon is saying, just making sure that's popping up, LAC, after hours is up $2. If you guys want to see something pretty crazy, I've covered the stock before, but I'll pull it up. Not LAC, something else. But let's see. Yeah, this one, to be honest, I made video on this a while ago, and we could actually maybe pull it up on the channel. Let's see, videos, and then and you guys can do this. You should be able to do this on the channel. If there is a stock that maybe you're interested in, I try to include the ticker. So you could just do like LAC, search that. And this was 5 months ago. That can't be the one that maybe if I just do LAC. And this is, 5 months ago, Lithium America stock to retest uptrend before breakout. I thought I did something more recently. Maybe if I do lithium, search that. I thought I had something more recent, but I guess not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Let's see. Let's do, I'm not sure if that would be on a playlist. Playlists are something that I need to reorganize, but yeah, let's see if there's anything there. Nope. Yeah. So anyways, you can search stuff there. Maybe it's helpful. Maybe it's not. Maybe if I do scroll down from the videos, let's see. I'm pretty sure that I had something on, oh no, it was USAR. I got myself confused, I believe. But yeah, I was thinking about, how I kind of missed the lithium boat. And so if you missed the lithium boat, maybe rare earth elements, so USAR, could be a nice way to go about tagging along, because if the U.S., is investing in, let's see, Intel for AI security, investing in, let's see, lithium for EVs and batteries and stuff. Maybe they'd also be investing in rare earth. So that could be a nice trade to consider. And so I might pull that up as well. But yeah, Lithium Americas, I have no idea where this could be coming down to. Up by $2. So let's see. Yeah, we can see the after hours here. So from 571 at close to up here at 743. And so if I switch over to the 15-minute time frame, it should show the after hours. I'm just going to fast forward to current time. And yeah, so this seems like a massive winner. Congrats to those who hold it. I guess I didn't swing this more recently. What I did swing was USAR. So I was mistaken about that. But this one, let's look at the chart. Let's look at the data real quick. I'm just going to switch over to the daily. I guess, yeah, oops, don't want to be moving that. But what I have over here, I think this one could be taken off. We need rare earth elements for energy security, batteries and stuff. So, yeah, I think that's probably a good one. And so I'm just going to note the tickers that I'm going over here. And you guys can let me know if I'm not diving too deep into them that I should follow up on them. Let me know. I'd be happy to. Let's see, I'm going to continue on with the chat, and then I will be winding this down in the next few minutes. So the shutdown is just opportunities to buy more on those dips. I agree. Check the VIX. I will definitely do that. And let's see the volatility index. And we can see that this is, I've heard kind of like a rule of thumb when this gets back to like 20, that is when we could be seeing, some big moves like we saw over here. But I feel like, it's all just been very calm. And I have to say, I do hold some UVIX, which is like some 2x leveraged VIX futures. And those have just been, grinding down. I'm waiting for that to get to around $6 before I add more, if I do. But yeah, maybe we see this really gap up if the government is to shut down. So the VIX is something that is good to consider. But yeah, so the VIX, there's also the VXX that people trade, because the VIX, I think you can only do options contracts with. The one that I've gotten into, which, like I said, 2x long VIX futures, this is really just ground down for me. So my average, I think, is around 23. It really sucks. But I think I saw a level around 6. But yeah, this can, really launch up. This has in the past, gone up 278% over the course of, days. And so from here, if this were to go up, let's see, 200, not even 200, this would be, I would be in the green with that. So yeah, it's a nice way to kind of hedge if things do go south. And so I'm going to note also the VIX and the UVIX. I'm just going to continue on with the chat. And yeah, Bruce, no problem. You're welcome. Yep, take care. Hopefully you're able to catch my goodbye. And then Joe Bro is saying QQQ up, but showing a slight dip. It's possible with that stuff we could be seeing a gap down tomorrow, but that could be a dip buying opportunity. And then Daniel's just saying thanks to Anand for his suggestion. And then Daniel's saying, good to hear about your yard. My garden ended up being a feed zone for wildlife. Yeah, that's, to be honest, there have been some, whether they're wildflowers or weeds, that have blossomed there. And I saw a monarch on one of those wildflowers. So, and not that they're attractive wildflowers or anything, it's really just a bunch of weeds. But it's like, I don't have the energy to keep up on the garden. At least, the birds enjoy it, whatever, pollinators enjoy it, bees, whatnot. So, yeah, I think that there's a benefit to having some space in a yard where it's just more natural if you don't have the time to garden, which I don't. And then Anon is saying buying VIX calls that expire November 19th. So yeah, you go you. I imagine those could perform very well, but also I don't really do too much with short dated stuff. And, I'm just kind of hoping that the UVIX shares that I have do at least get back to break even, so that when there is a gap down, then it's like, oh, well, all of my positions are red except for this one, break even. That's some cash I can buy the dip and the other stuff with. So nothing really too exciting with that. But, I kind of regret doing this because it's just bled for so long. But yeah, maybe we're going to see, spike and stuff. And hopefully we don't see another reverse split. But anyways, with all of that, I am probably going to wind this down. Actually, one thing that I might want to do, Peloton, did I look at this? I'm just going to look at a couple of them on the monthly because I don't typically do that. But yeah, Peloton here, this looks like, you could draw a downtrend there. Maybe it's breaking out. I'm not sure. SBET, looking at this on the monthly, really just consolidating. Maybe this starts to break out though. And then Mara, let's see this as well, closing above that moving average. Maybe I went over that earlier. And then NEO, this is looking really good. So, yeah, and I guess maybe, honorary mention, AMC, not necessarily looking so good, but that's all right. Cypher is one. This is, I have one share of this at like 11.47. And so I'll buy more if it comes lower. If not, I'm just going to tag along. This is one that Mike Alfred suggested. I shouldn't say recommended, but he's talked about it. But yeah, with all that being said, I am, let's see. Oh yeah, Joe Bro, cool. I'm glad you mentioned WLFI. I didn't get an alert on it, but Coinbase kind of notifies me about stuff. And and WLFI, that reminds me of one that I wanted to, wait, WLFI. This is, so WLFI USD. This is on the monthly. I want to look at the daily, and I want to fast forward. And so this did come down to sub 20. So yeah, I mean, this could be a dip buying opportunity. It also, could go lower. So I feel like it's good to be able to average in. Like I've kind of, accumulated more fart coin than I was intending to. And so, but I can add a little bit more if it does go lower. But the one related to Wolfie, is, maybe you guys saw this. I saw this morning, but pretty insane. Wolf speed. Yeah, I mean, let's go over here. It was trading around, closed on Friday last week at 121. And then it went up 1,726% yesterday. So on Monday, the 29th, it opened at $18, closed at $22.10, and then now this looks like it could be a topping signal, that it could be rolling over, but went up another 29%. So in the span of 2 days, let's see, this went up 2,000, about 300%. So that is insane. So congrats to anyone who is holding this. I'd take profits and retire, I was not holding it though. But yeah, pretty insane chart. I don't know how I saw this. I think because this was on my ticker request live TRL list in Webull, and I just like, oh my God, how is it that up so high, over 1,000%? Yeah, but at this point, you could lose, 90% of that value if it pulls back. So very risky. And then Anon, just pulling up the last chats here. I hold UVIX too. You have to watch out for NAV erosion and contango, 100%. So that's for UVIX. That's kind of a hard lesson for me, but it's like, the thesis is that it could, really launch, and then I could get out at break even, have cash on the side. So I'm not selling at a loss or anything. And if it does go lower, I would just very aggressively get my average down. But yeah, for now, just chilling with it. And then Joe Bro with the chart here. Wow, for sure. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm going to throw this up here, and I'm going to I've got to sand some siding. I'm really not excited about it, but I got to get it ready for winter and stuff. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the requests. Make sure you like the video and share your thoughts in the comments down below or in the chat. I will be doing this again tomorrow, and I'll try to maybe keep my list to just maybe a few tickers, so I'm not, going on so long, so there is time for requests. Maybe 15 minutes of my stuff, 15 minutes for you guys, and we'll see where that takes us. But yeah, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and yeah, brace for volatility the rest of the week with the possibility of the government shutdown, the likelihood of the government shutdown, and, be prepared for dip buying opportunities. I think that we'll see a lot of them months down the road. We'll regret not buying this opportunity. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Probably not going to do a video tonight because I'll be tired and stuff. But yeah, hopefully this is valuable for everybody. Let me know in the comments, please, if you do enjoy this kind of stuff. Maybe I'll start tomorrow's stream with that so people can let me know if they like it.